uplifting your mind, body, and soul. It's the Peace Over Everything podcast with Shannon and Erica.
The views and opinions shared on the Peace Over Everything podcast are for inspiration only and not professional, legal, financial, or medical advice. The hosts and guests are not responsible for any actions taken based on the content. Listener discretion is advised. Now, let's get into the podcast.
Welcome, friends. I'm Shannon.
I'm Erica Vincent.
And we are the host of Peace Over Everything podcast. Now, first, I want us to get started and just talk to them about what Peace Over Everything is as far as this platform. So I'll start, and then we could chime in, and let's just. I want it to be very clear what this is for us and for everybody that's listening.
Facts.
So, Peace Over Everything is a safe space for women, for people, for anybody that maybe don't have that sense of camaraderie or community in their personal lives, but that long for that. Peace Over Everything was built out of two people who had each other in tough times, and that being Erica and I, and it just grew into this beautiful platform that we are building so that we can be that for other people. So I want you, the listeners and myself and everybody, to understand we are all about healing and peace and faith. And although Erica's journey with God is different from mine, and different from the listeners and whoever else you might come in contact with, this is a space where we prioritize peace, we celebrate each other, we uplift each other, we encourage each other. And this is just for the girls, but for the friends. So Erica?
Absolutely, just to piggyback off of everything you said, which is completely accurate, we are a group of women who support each other. So often there is a lie that people believe that they're all alone in tough times and they're supposed to just show up and act perfect. This is a safe space because we're going to be vulnerable. We're going to connect with people who are also going to show that you're not alone in whatever topics that we discuss. We want to be here for you. We want to be like your sister, your cousin, and we call you our friend. We are best friends. So hopefully you feel that energy and you continue to want to keep coming back for more because you feel the connection and that we do care. We care about our personal growth. We care about each other's growth, and we want to share that with you all.
Yes. All that.
Yeah.
So I think it's important for us to talk about where we started, how we got here, so that the friends and everybody can get, just like a better understanding of just who we are as individuals, as friends, and now as business partners going into this thing. So let's start with how we met, and then I think Peace Over Everything is like sprinkled throughout that journey.
Yeah.
So I met Erica, I don't even know how many years ago. It was years at this point. Maybe like 5 or 6 years. I want to say,
Yeah.
At least. And like so many women who go get a service done or go to the salon or go get their lashes done or whatever, we met, just me seeking her out. And I'm pretty sure she was recommended to me by another person in the same industry. But Erica is an esthetician. She is a talented lash artist. And so I randomly, I had moved back to the area. I was looking for just somebody, when you move, you're looking for somebody to pick up your services. So like hair, nails, lashes. So I was looking for a lash artist. She was recommended to me. I went to her, and even though I think we both were kind of shy in the beginning, and we were kind of just like, okay, feeling each other out, but you never know what's gonna come. So in the beginning, it's just like a professional relationship. We didn't expect this to come from that, but God's timing is perfect, and you might make a plan, and God will be like, hold on, girl, I got something for you. And even in that moment, I wanted friends. Like I wanted like those girlfriends, like the group of girlfriends you might see when you're looking at the movies or like social media. And I wanted that. I had friends, but I wanted genuine connection. I wanted someone to call my best friend. And because I think as women, as people, we want companionship. We want to feel like we have somebody. We don't want to feel alone. Even though I have family or you might have family, but it's different. It's different. And so from that, every time we had a service together or an appointment together, it was like piggybacking off of the last time, and then it grew into this beautiful friendship where we both were like, I really love her, but I don't want to shoot my best friend shot just yet, because what if she's not feeling me? Like, what if it's just me? Sometimes I have a habit of romanticizing things in my mind and what it could be. Like, I'm like, I love this girl. Our connection is crazy. Our conversations are good. When we get together, we could key, but we could talk about business. We could talk about God. We could talk about everything. And I don't feel like I have to water myself down, or I have to, like, filter what I say. Like, I could be myself around her, and I'm just like, I wonder if she's feeling the way that I'm feeling about her. And just like in our regular relationships, you could be nervous to shoot your shot with somebody, or you could be nervous to tell somebody how you feel for fear of rejection. But I'm so glad that day came where I'm almost positive that you were like, can I talk to you about something? And I was like, okay, because up until at that point, it was like we had been with each other through relationships, through divorce, both of our divorces we were together. And when you go through things like that, I mean, the highs and the lows, when you go through that with somebody, it's hard not to have a connection with that person, especially because those are your most vulnerable times. And just I think for each of us to feel comfortable to confide in the other person about that, because when you're going through it, you're like, I don't want to tell nobody what I'm going through. Again, the fear of rejection, fear of judgment, fear of just putting yourself out there and not being reciprocated. I've experienced this when you think you have a friend in somebody and you confide certain things in them, and then it turns out like that person wasn't your friend. So I think just fear of not knowing what could happen from this. But because neither one of us had that, and I was like, no, this is my girl. I know if I tell her something, it's not going nowhere. I know she's gonna shoot straight with me every single time. She's not gonna sugarcoat it, even though everything is in love. It's out of love. It's out of loyalty to me, and vice versa. I know whenever we talk, it's all love, no matter the topic. And I think we can get into this later, but that's important, especially when you go into business with one another. Mm-hmm. Just being open, because we're gonna have tough conversations, and just feeling comfortable with each other. I knew very early on that you was my best friend. I knew it in my heart. I was like, I love this girl. I felt
it too, but I was, like you said, I was scared. Because and I'm pretty sure a lot of our friends, our listeners will understand, like, it's easy to make friends when you're young, because you at school, you around these people pretty much every day throughout the week. You know what I'm saying? And it was so effortless. And then when you become an adult, you still try to keep those friends, but now you're growing, and sometimes growing apart, where some people be still stuck on like crazy, but you want better for yourself. And like, even those relationships just kind of fizzling out. And it was like, I knew how I felt about you, but I was scared because I had been hurt. Mm-hmm. And it was almost like you said, just that fear of rejection, or what if she don't feel like I do? And it's crazy because like, we almost have to get clear, even on these level of friendships. Like, somebody else would probably judge, like, y'all ask each other, are you my best friend? But it was like, we had to make it clear, like, this is safe. We feel the same way. Okay, cool. Now let's move ahead.
Right. Because again, like you just said, you have to be clear.
Yeah.
Anything that you do, I don't want to assume anything. Because when you start assuming things, that's how you get disappointed. Thanks. Because your expectations up here, this person like, nah, we just cool. Like, we just go to parties together. Like, right. That's the love of our friendship. But with you, I was like, look, I didn't say anything, but this is like my best friend.
Right. Yes.
So I think when that day came, I was like, bet, we're locked in. We was already locked in. But that day I was like, okay. And then
go ahead.
It was what you pray for coming to fruition. Because when I'm asking God, like I told you, I wanted friendship. So I'm like, God, first, remove anybody that's not for me. And then people start dropping left, right. And I was like, okay, God. I know it was people who I couldn't have guessed that.
Same.
Like, and especially because just like you, I really cherish the people that are in my life. And when things happen and you're just looking like, you can do this to me? Mm-hmm. And I love you like this, and I ride for you like this, but then you have to take yourself out of it, and you have to be like, all right, God, all right, I'm not gonna stop being me. I'm not gonna stop loving how I love and showing up how I do. But that just goes to show you that everybody's not meant to go with you where you're going. So I'm just so grateful for you. I know we have like an outline. We're doing all the things, but I just want to let you know I'm so grateful for you as the friend that you are to me. You are so special to me. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. You are so special to me. And just the fact that we are able, through your vision, through God's vision, through us collaborating, to have this platform now to kind of spread the love that, you know, we love each other down, but to spread the love and the positivity, just everything through this platform is something special. It really is. And I'm excited for everybody to get that and to see that.
Yes. You couldn't have said it no better. There's nothing else I can say because that pretty much covers everything.
Okay. So that's how we got started. But Peace Over Everything happened in the midst of us building our friendship and coming together, and it started with a vision that Erica had. So I'm going to let her talk a little bit about how Peace Over Everything, the brand, came about, and then how we got to Peace Over Everything, the podcast, the brand, the everything.
So Shannon mentioned it. We both have in common, fortunately and unfortunately, we have both experienced divorces. And me personally, I was previously married for 7 years, and the whole thing was like a total of 9 years, and that took a major toll on me as a person. So I went into that whole situation and I lost myself. And when it came and ran its course and came to the very, very end, I was back having to deal with me. And when that happened, it almost was like everything got minimized down to just me and God. And at that point, that was the beginning of understanding. It wasn't the vacations that I made my identity. It wasn't the hair and makeup and showing up looking a certain type of way that made me me. It was like the inner me that he started working on me from the inside out. And I started understanding, even after the divorce, how my peace was still being tested. And despite all the tests, I learned how I can maintain my peace with outside stuff going on. That's when I started understanding for myself, not from what my mama said, not from what my grandma was talking about or whoever, but I had to get a relationship with God for myself through Christ Jesus, who is the Prince of Peace, and maintain no matter what came my way. So somehow, I can't even tell y'all the moment, but it got really, really clear that it was peace over everything, literally. Like, it ain't just something I wear on a shirt. It was a mindset where it was like, no matter how much this person, that person might try to make me doubt myself while I'm working on myself, I can't focus on y'all's opinion. I have to focus on me, my healing, and my peace. So it was a movement within me that created the clothing, and little did I know it was going to be a podcast, but that's how God worked. Like, that's a whole nother topic, but that's really where it all came from.
Yes. So when we're talking about peace, right? And I know we said we both have been through divorces and choosing to leave relationships, but that was when, just like you, I realized that, okay, I don't really know myself right now. Mm-hmm. I don't know myself the way that I desire to know myself, and I definitely don't know God the way that I desire to know God. And when you're going through, first, making a decision, a hard decision, which I think either way it went, it's a hard decision to make, whether to stay or to go. But you and I both decided, all right, God. And I know, especially in Christianity and when you're talking about marriage, and I know how divorce is seen, and I knew how it was gonna look. And even in that moment, I was like, listen, I don't really care how it's gonna look. Like, okay, I'm getting off topic. But I think both of us making that decision to step out on faith and to be like, God, where do you want me to go from there? Like, from here, when I tell you the lowest of the low, the lowest that I was like, oh, now, like, and me, from my personal experience, I really felt like I had it together. I was like, listen, It is what it is. I'm gonna move like this. And yeah, this is a sad time, but I'm not gonna let this, I'm finna shake it off and I'm finna, girl, God was like, girl, settle down, sit down. And it took me a long time to sit down. If I'm being honest, it took me a long time to really tap in and be like, all right, God. Because from the moment I made that choice, I was on go.
Yeah.
I was moving.
Yeah.
I was here, I was there, I was everywhere. I was doing all the things. And I knew it was a distraction in that moment. I knew I was distracting myself, but in my mind, out of sight, out of mind, if I'm not in it, I can't feel it. And then it's just like, okay, but now I'm physically not in it, but it's still taking a toll on me. I'm like, and that's where having good friends come into play. Because even though I'm smiling, I'm putting this face on, and I'm like, yeah, I got this. Like, it's all good. Erica would still be like, are you all right, though? Are you okay? Are you taking care of yourself? Through it all, only a couple people actually called me out on what was really happening as far as, like, you're not okay. You need to talk to somebody. You need to sit down somewhere. Like, everyone, like, only a couple people was like, but what's really going on with you? And I think that's a testament to maybe the mask I was wearing or just like the show I was putting on or whatever. But to those people, I was really grateful because, I mean, as soon as you like looked at me and was like, you all right? It's like I felt the tears coming. I felt the emotions coming. And so it was in that time where I really decided like, all right, God, yeah. I'm seeking you. I don't know where I'm going.
Facts.
That's the truth. I don't know where I'm going. I know how I want to feel only at the end of the day, or like at the end of this journey. I know I want to feel whole. I want to feel complete. I want to feel healed. I don't want this to affect me like it has, or how I'm trying to avoid the emotions. I want all these things, but I don't know where to start.
Right.
And I think even in the beginning, like, and I know I wasn't praying like I needed to. I wasn't reading like I needed to. I wasn't like locked in the way that I needed to in order to get the sense of completion that I was searching for. And just going back to how God works, you can't just be like, all right, God, I want this, give it to me. And he's just like, okay, like, girl, where's the work? Right. Where's the work that you're putting in? You asking God for healing, you asking God for peace. You don't even know where to start. You still hang around people who don't have your best interests in mind. You still doing things that don't please or serve you or God. So like, girl, what you expect from God other than him to sit back and let you make your decisions? And that's the thing that I love about God is no matter what decision I made or make, he always right there. He's always there. Even when it's a decision that I made for myself that really wasn't rooted in God or like his image or what I felt to be. Because I feel like you know when you're doing something, and it's kind of like when you're a child and you're doing something that your mama is not going to be cool with.
Right.
But you do it anyway because you're like, she'll be all right. Like, because I'm a child. Like, I'm learning still and I'm in my own stuff. And I think God allowed me to make the decisions that I make, just like all of us. And even when I was in something that I don't believe he would have liked me to be in, or he would have steered me into, I chose this path head on, and I was like, all right, I'm running towards this. I'm like, God, I want to do this. And he's like, all right. Sometimes God is so hands-on but hands-off. And he's like, all right, you do it your way, and when you're ready, you come find me. Like, but he's always there, so I'm just like, it took that, and I think that's why it took me so long to get to this place. Like, I'm years out of it now from making that first decision to leave a relationship. And while we're talking about relationships, I want it to be very, very clear that I'm speaking about my experience. I don't want to bash anybody. I don't want to talk down anybody. I just want this to be a learning experience for myself, for the listeners, for somebody to hear somebody else's perspective, and maybe they can be in something similar or something, completely different. But I truly believe that whatever you're meant to take from this is for you. So, I just want to throw that out there because I know in the beginning we're going to talk a lot about our backgrounds, how we got here. And I want it to be very clear that I don't want to bring anybody down. This is a platform for peace and uplifting. I don't want to put anybody down. I don't want to talk down to anybody, and I'm not going to. But I just wanted it to be very clear.
Yeah, that's very important, and I'm very glad that you said that, because it's almost like the saying "my truth," and that's the angle that we have to discuss, because it was our own personal experience,
Right.
and it's not about anybody outside of what we're talking about within us.
Right.
We can discuss how it affected us and how we had to heal from it. That's it.
Yeah.
I know. I just wanted to mention real quick, once that divorce process started, like the whole separation, like you said, you were running, going, doing. I went out and bought myself a luxury car. So that was like a thing for me. And again, it shows how my mindset was, because now I'm thinking I'm ready to flex on him. I'm ready to flex on whoever know about the situation, which was a clear indicator. Mindset just like wrong, baby. Life finna start all over. You might want to hold on to your coin. I went out and bought the car from a used car dealership. Don't do that. I mean, that's a whole nother thing, but my mindset was so ready to just flex and try to show out, instead of just like, that was a time for me to just go sit down and let God do his thing. But like you said, he's such a gentleman. He's so patient with us. Like, even when we make those decisions, it's even good to even come and share, I made that mistake, but I learned from that. And who's to say it was a mistake? And I even had to learn the process of forgiving myself for that relationship, for that marriage. Because I was like, oh my God, 9 years of my life, like, did I make a mistake? And God's so loving. It's even in that. It was like, no, because that's the only way you gain experience. That's the only way, Shannon, me and you can even have this platform. And I think a lot of times people judge and put their mouth on things that they don't even understand. But we've gone through it, and the process is personal. So we can share that process for somebody who might be in it, or somebody who might be about to get into something, and to avoid it altogether. But ultimately, it's never about us. That's all I'm trying to say.
Right. It's never about us. Fortunately, we can be examples to people. It's like, I don't want it to seem like, oh, I made a mistake or I regret this. Have my feelings about that time. You know, I think it was meant to happen.
Right.
Everything happens exactly the way it's meant to happen. You can look back and be like, God, I wish I wouldn't have did that, or I shouldn't have did that. But ultimately, I could not be the person that I am today, sitting right here, without all of the things that have happened before today. So I'm grateful for that experience. I'm grateful even for how it ended, when it ended, and the journey that I had to take to even feel like, all right, I could talk about it again. Because, you know, when you're in something and it's new and it's fresh, every time you talk about it, it's like ripping the Band-Aid back off, or like it's a scar that's trying to heal. But how can I heal if I just keep talking about it? That's how I felt. So I was like, out of sight, out of mind, which in hindsight, that wasn't the best way to go about things. I needed to talk to somebody. I needed to get it out. I needed to pray about it. I needed to sit still. Honestly, I needed to be like, okay, I'm doing the therapy now. Like, it took me a while to even be like, I need therapy. You know, I'm doing the therapy. I'm starting my journey with God. I'm journaling. I'm like, okay, God, I'm healed. And God is like, girl.
Yeah, okay.
You keep doing it. You're moving too fast.
Right.
You need to sit down somewhere. I'm going to be honest. I just started sitting still, for real. Over the last year was when I was really like, all right, God, I did it my way. And it hasn't gone the way that I planned it to.
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm ready to study. I'm ready to pray. I'm ready just to give it to you. Like, here. I'm done worrying about it. I'm done stressing about it. I'm putting my faith in you. And whatever happens, happens.
I mean, I want to really quick, I feel you. And I don't know how vulnerable you're willing to be on this podcast, but I think it's very important that we be vulnerable. Yeah. Truth is, we came out of that divorce and love came quick. Mm-hmm. True love really came quick. Hence that I just got remarried. Baby crying. Oh my God.
Stop. No, because, girl.
Come on. I mean, if we gonna do it, we gotta do it.
We're gonna do it. Easy to it. Okay. So, love did come. Love came. Mm-hmm. Mr. Benson got married. She did. Okay. We're gonna be vulnerable. We're gonna get into it. We're gonna get
Yeah.
into it.
So really quick, just to pivot, I don't know what we're gonna title this podcast, friends. Clearly, when you clicked on this, you see what we ended up titling it. But I think it's really important to make the topic today. How do you know you're healed from the toxic thing, whether it was a long relationship, you know, the ghetto-ness that you just dealt with, was it a marriage, whatever, and now you moving forward with your life, let's say, because it's not even about trying to be in no relationship, it's really about you loving yourself, it's about finding peace. Yes. So yeah, that's important.
But that's important. We're talking about our Jesus,
That's okay.
our personal journeys. But I don't want anybody listening to feel like I need to run out against a relationship because that's
No.
gonna heal me. It's not. Honestly, if you're not on the journey already and you try to jump into something, I think it's worse. I
Yes,
do.
and your peace is personal.
Peace is
Your happiness is personal. What the goal is to be happy with yourself. Y'all, I literally still remember I was dating my now husband and I knew it was still important to stay on my journey to working on me because there was a lot of damage that happened in the past. I started taking myself out to eat, like to lunch in a nice place. And I will never forget when I first walked in, the lady, the host, the hostess, she was like, "How many?" I was like, "Oh, just me." And I had my book. And she was like, "Oh." And I'm like, "Girl, no." She didn't understand, excuse me.
Right.
And a lot of people don't understand this, but that's what we're going to encourage. Be happy, have peace with or without. So then when somebody else come in,
It's in addition to.
exactly.
And honestly, that's why picking your partner is important too.
Yeah.
Because we've all been through, not just us and not just people who've been married and divorced and like all the things, anybody who's dated has been through stages and situations with people.
Yeah.
And you've learned, okay, this was a good from that relationship, but this was also the part that I want to change, that I don't want to deal with anymore. Okay, so the next person comes along. Okay, I love that they did this, but then again, like picking your partner is so important, but also prioritizing peace and your prioritizing yourself is also just as important as the partnership. How can you be in a better relationship or a more healed relationship and you're still carrying the baggage from the old relationships?
Right.
And I think inevitably it's it's hard to escape that because I'm telling you, babe, I bought that baggage with me.
Oh,
I,
and
I,
I did too.
dragged it with
I,
me.
I did too on accident. Like you,
No
like
accident.
you, I'm like, I'm good, but it's crazy because you don't even know what triggers you until you're triggered.
Right.
And those were the beginning signs that I was in a safe space with my now husband because when I got triggered, I could tell it was irritating to him, but he never flipped it back on me. Or what I know now, and I did a lot of research understanding what gaslighting is. Like knowledge truly is power. So it was like new in order to avoid repeating history, I had to understand what I came out of. So then when I'm in this new space, I'm like, oh, this is completely different. Yeah, and it was consistently different, like hard conversations. And Shannon, me and you done talked about it. Like the first time my husband and I now had a hard conversation, I expected him to give me the silent treatment. I expected him to be like a little boy and act like, like I'm mad at you. But it was like we got through it and we moved
Yeah.
on. And I literally was like, what's this?
Well,
You're okay?
okay, growth. Okay.
Yeah, I love it here. And that's important. Like, if we don't take the time to heal and allow God to heal us and do what we need to be done or do what needs to be done on a personal level, and only you understand that. You only understand what was stripped away from you by reflecting, how was I before I even got into that? Like, was I depressed? Did I deal with anxiety? Did I deal with those things before that? Like, I didn't. Baby was confident. High school, the girls didn't know. Like, I was in my yearbook and I'm not saying this for boasting, but like in there for Trendsetter, I was very confident. I didn't deal with confidence then. If anything, it was just like, I didn't care what nobody think. Baby, when I came out of that, I was like the color was taken out of me.
Who am I?
Who
Where
was?
am I?
I didn't know. I did, but it was like an identity thing going on.
It's like fuzzy. It's like you walking through life with clouds over you, and you trying so hard to find like the glimpse of sunshine.
What?
And it's just like, girl. First of all, how can you? First, if I don't know what to look for, how could I?
Right.
If I didn't know myself, how could I?
Right.
So I don't want you to beat yourself up. Like I want to give myself grace. I want you to give yourself grace because again, the journey is it's all about the journey.
Right.
So like, back then we're like, okay, all right, I'm out of it now. I know what I desire. Like I desire a relationship where I feel safe, secure, uplifted, empowered, beautiful, desired. Like I desire that for my partner.
Right.
But I would just like to talk about how moving out of a relationship can sometimes bring fear along with it. Because even though I know that's what I want, and again, I want to be married again. I want to have that. I desire to be a wife. But I think in between the two relationships, I had no idea the amount of insecurity I was bringing, the amount of fear I was bringing. Because I'm telling you, in this moment, I'm talking to God like, okay, I'm on my journey of healing. I'm prioritizing peace. And like you said, I'm doing things to figure out, okay, how did I get there? Because I don't want to go back. So I'm doing the therapy. I'm talking to people. I'm prioritizing my self-peace as far as learning what I like to do. What, taking myself on dates or just maybe just carving out time for myself throughout the week, whether that's praying or reading a book or just doing, self-care, whatever it is that I feel like brings me peace. I was doing that, but still I was fearful because I did not want to make the same mistakes that I had made before. And so when this new person came along, it was just kind of supposed to be something fun for the moment, another distraction.
Yeah.
Something that I could just be like, all right, like this is cool, whatever. But that's how funny God is. Like again, you plan for one thing and God is like, nah.
Yeah.
This is the real plan.
Yeah.
So I'm moving through, I got a friend now. You know how family members I'm like you got a friend until y'all married. I hope y'all know that. Y'all are friends until you're married. Your little friend?
Your little friend?
Your little friend. Not even boyfriend. I'm gonna be honest, fiance is even kind of like, all right.
Right.
That's not your man.
Right.
Until you're married.
Yeah.
For real. So I had me a little friend and I was like, all right, cool. And things, I'm telling you, I had wrote down what I wanted in a partner, what I wanted in a relationship. And when he started taking boxes, I was like, okay, this is cute. But I'm still looking back like at God, like, but God, I don't want to make the same mistake. Like, is this just like the enemy showing up as something that I desired to kind of take me 10 steps back because I don't want it?
Right.
Is this just something for the moment? In the moment, I was like, cool. It could be like in my mind, I was like, this is never going to be anything other than something cool and casual. Just how we even started was just kind of like, oh, our friends were dating, so it was just kind of like, all right, cool. I mean, what's up? Like I'm just like the wing woman at this point. But and I'm sure you can attest because we've talked about things we've put these people through, and by these people I mean like our partners. And even though I was constantly searching for a reason for this not to work, I was searching for just anything like. If I had just came out of a relationship where I ignored all the red flags, I'm coming into this one like, okay, I'm on high alert. Like I want so badly not to make the same mistakes, and that is operating out of fear.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
It's a fine line because you do want to protect yourself, and it is important to be aware, but it's a fine line. It's kind of hard.
It is.
It is. It's hard.
That's why I feel like your prayer life got to be on point, and I'm telling you.
But friend, I told you, and friends listening, if I'm gonna say anything, I'm gonna keep it real. I told Shannon, I have prayed several times, Lord, if this ain't right, show me. Nothing would happen. Nothing would happen here. Like nothing would happen. Right. And then it still was like, it's safe for real. But Lord, show me if he ain't right. Show me if he's alive. Like it was like I still had to be like, okay, let me continue to be great. And if he's crazy enough to lose me, that's his loss. It was like a mindset I had to have instead of just like, I'm scared. Lord, show me. Where I couldn't even relax and enjoy us. You know what I'm saying?
You be so filled with anxiety.
Yeah, because you be scared.
Scared. You operating out of fear. You're like, okay, I know what I don't want. So I'm looking. I mean, the smallest thing, I'm like, is that a red flag? Like, is that even a pink flag? Is it
Pink flag?
what is this? And and you're looking at your partner like, again, in fear.
Yeah.
And from being traumatized.
Facts.
From what you've been through from now up until you just started dating, but you just had your first experience with love. So you're taking all the baggage from all the years to this person. You're like, okay, well, if you just gonna do me like everybody else did me, just go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
Please go ahead and do it. But I think just like you, I was still on my journey, and how I knew that this was different was when, like you mentioned, similar situations would present themselves, and I would be bracing myself for the reaction that never came. When I tell you gentle with me, like I am this small glass figure, like gentle with me in all things. And that's when I was like, okay, God, all right. Like I'm still like you. It's like you kind of peeping out like, is it safe?
Yes.
Is it safe? And God is like, girl, you asked.
Right.
You've asked. You've prayed about it.
Right.
You've surrendered it to me. Mm-hmm. Can you let me do my thing, please? Like that's really what I envision God to be saying. Like to me, I know everybody got a different relationship with God, Yeah. But for me and him, he was like, "Are you, girl? Yeah. Please. Let me work now. Let me work."
Now I feel the need to bring this up at this point. I think it's very important for the woman who's listening, who is on her journey with the Lord, well, on whatever that level that is for you, that if you are about to date or you're coming out of something and you're preparing your mind to date and be with somebody, y'all can comment below. But I personally feel like it's important that whatever man you connect with also has his personal relationship with God. Or you seeing that he has a major fear where it's like towards God, when I say a fear towards God, it's like he believes to the point where if nobody's around, I'm still gonna make the right decisions because I acknowledge God is real. Like on that level. Because I do feel like a man who just all over the place, he'll do anything if he feel like nobody's watching. So Shannon and I did some research on divorce in general. And if we go and look at the statistics, it says the National Library of Medicine cites the major contributors of divorce is a lack of commitment, which was 75%. Infidelity was 59.6%. Too much conflict and arguing, 57%. Followed by marrying too young. I ain't gonna keep saying a percentage, but financial problems, domestic abuse, and it says something like religious differences. Very, very interesting research.
Right. So I think it's important to note that the first one was lack of commitment. And I think in any relationship, not even just a marriage, if you're not committed, even a relationship with God, if you're not committed, how can it flourish? How can it sustain anything?
Come on, somebody.
So for that to be the number one, because I think typically when you're talking to people, they'll say, oh, finances are the number one. Finances are the number one factor of why people don't stay together. And trust me, finances are important.
Yeah.
But beyond that, you have to be committed to me like I'm committed to you. And I'm not just talking a personal relationship, a romantic relationship. In friendships, you and I have to be committed to you and this friendship as you are to me. With God, I have to be committed to him just like I know he is to me. So if you lack commitment, and I do think commitment is rooted in love. Commitment and love can be two separate things, but when you're talking about a relationship, I think you have to have both. I love you, but also I'm committed to you. Because on the days where it's hard, and I want to stress, I'm not talking about a romantic relationship specifically. On the days it gets tough, because it's going to get tough in a religious relationship, a personal relationship, a romantic relationship. It's not always going to be rainbows and unicorns and whatever. But if I'm committed to us, to this partnership, then it don't even matter.
That's a great point. That's a great point.
That bad day matters, but I know we're gonna get through that.
Right.
Because I love you and I'm committed to you. I'm committed to us.
Right.
I feel like you can't have one without the other. I can't be committed to the relationship and not committed to you. It's not gonna work. I can't be committed to God, but still like, I don't really, I can't say that I'm committed and my actions not match.
Right.
I can't say that I'm committed to my marriage because I just love the way it sounds that I'm married and not be committed to my husband. So, and I do think you can love somebody but not necessarily be committed to the relationship. I do think that you have to have both. To have a strong, sustainable relationship, you have to have both. Like, I can love how it looks. Like, you talked a little bit about it, but I think it resonates with a lot of people, like how it looked. Like, I'm a wife. Right. I'm this, I'm that. And I love saying, I've been married this amount of years. I've been married this amount of years. But if I'm not committed to the relationship and I'm just committed to marriage, like just the general construct of marriage, and I'm just like, well, I just like the way it sounds, But
I think our society is almost trained to think like that. I hear a lot of times, like even women, like, I got the ring, or like the wedding day and all the things. And
right. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm guilty of some of those things as well.
Yeah.
Like, I don't, and I know we're just getting to know our friends and they're just getting to know us. But this is in no way judging. Whatever, because we've all been there. I've been there where I'm just like, I just want this, and everything else is gonna follow, but the foundation wasn't right,
Right.
So, and especially if somebody is in that place right now listening, and they're like, well, I got the ring, and that's nice, and I'm happy for you, but if we're talking about longevity, if we're talking about sustainability, it has to go beyond the ring. The foundation has to be there.
Yeah.
The relationship with God has to be there.
Yeah.
We talk about marriage. The relationship with God has to be there for yourself and your partner. I just think there's so much more that goes into a marriage besides the ring. And like you said, like I think, especially in our communities, growing up, marriage is like the ultimate goal. You're with somebody for a long time, for years. Your family looking at you like, y'all just gonna keep shacking up, or I think the pressure to get married is there.
The focus is not where it should be. Like, because a lot of people have childhood trauma, right? Yeah. And then they become an adult, they go through all the life motions, getting a job, or even like just think of a man, he evolves with a beard and a deep voice, but it could be a little boy inside of him that's still hurt. And the focus never really seems to be like, are you ready? Like, Are you whole? Because it's like, it's really supposed to be, they say like it's half, what is it? Like my better half. No, like the perfect scenario are two wholes. Two people who have allowed God to work on them and make them whole. And now parallel, they walk together and continue to grow and, continue to work individually and together. And now it's like that understanding, like you said, stuff happens, but it seems again, society's focus is on the ring or the wedding day or the wedding dress, or y'all been together that long, when y'all get married, but they don't even know, like the question is never like, how are you? Like, let's get you prepared. Let's pull him to the side and get him prepared and understand that, because I think if that were the case, a lot of things people wouldn't even be together and have to heal from it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
That is a good point. I think so much and I'm not just gonna say in the Black community, but I feel like we can only speak to what we've experienced. So if this is the case among other communities, let us know. But I think growing up and seeing your grandma, your aunties, your uncles that are married, the pressure is there just, I think, for fear of judgment. So many times you do feel that pressure, like, okay, if I just get the ring, I can work on everything else when we get into it. Or it's like, well, let me go ahead and get married because I have been with this person. Or maybe it's a pressure you put on yourself,
right?
To feel like this is what I'm supposed to do. If I'm with somebody, I'm supposed to marry them. We're not dating for fun. We're dating for marriage. And so that's just a restriction that you put on yourself as far as like a time restriction. And the whole time it's just like, girl, you didn't have to do that. What you should have been focused on is, do I see myself building with this person? Can I see myself in the good and the bad, still loving this person like this? God is so important in relationships. Does he have a relationship with God? Does he encourage your relationship with God? Or is he just kind of like, you do this and I'm over here and we're two separate entities? But
to add to like the pressures, whether it's personal pressure, family pressure for however long you've been with somebody, a big part too be the church, like the church people. They be mad, judgy, and again, not focused on really taking the time to understand, baby, are you whole? Baby, are you whole? Okay, y'all about ready to get this journey started together. It's just all about what it looks like. And I think that's where we be going wrong. Like, oh, you're shacking. It is, but like, judging, like you don't even know like what could be being worked on. Like somehow, some way, we have to learn how to do away with people's opinions, and that's why it's so important to understand the difference between religion and a relationship. God will literally meet you right where you are, but if you listen to people, it will almost make you feel so discouraged that you can't even come to him until the people are pleased with what it looks like. Forget what they talking about. This is your journey.
Forget what man is talking about. Whether that's, okay, you need to get married because y'all been together this amount of years, or y'all living together.
No, you don't know that.
You need to marry who you go with. Like, girl.
No.
If there's anything that I want somebody who is dating with the intent to marry to take away from our stories, is take your time. Don't feel like there's a time constraint on it. Don't feel like you have to rush and just do this because of what it looks like.
Right.
How do you feel? How do you feel when you're with this person? And I think that's why intuition is so important. Because intuition can be rooted in God. That could be God telling you, like, okay, girl, that's not it. Like,
that's what we call it, intuition, but it really is that.
Right. Like, that's what I'm trying to like,
it is that.
Combine the two, because we call it intuition. We'll call it like, oh, I just got a gut feeling about something. But that's what I said. How do you feel when you sitting by yourself, when you're quiet, when you're thinking about your future? How do you feel? Do you feel anxious? Do you feel uneasy? Like, how do you feel? Because I've been there and I've ignored the signs. Okay.
Ooh, come on, somebody.
I've ignored the signs. I'm literally sick to my stomach right now. And I still be like, okay, but I really want to do this. Like, because in your mind, you've come up with this plan about what it's going to look like, what you want it to look like.
And what you're supposed to do.
What you're supposed to do. I'm in love with the idea of this thing. In love with the potential of what it could be. But really, let's take a step back. Like, really, what is it? What potential aside, what is it right now? Because you can't operate in the what ifs,
right?
Or what it could look like. So that's what I said.
Can we pause right there? I'm gonna be real, y'all. That's exactly what I did. I married the idea and like romanticized potential. I literally remember the day that it hit me. It hit me hard that it may never be that. And it was like years in, and I remember I didn't want to talk to nobody. I was isolated from the ones that probably would have been good for me, but maybe not. I don't know. But it was me in my head. But it was hard because it was like, girl, all of it was a lie. Like all of it was just made up.
That's why we gotta get our hands now. That's girl, I was right there with you.
Yeah.
We have to stop seeking something for what it could be. Even though growth is beautiful, having somebody you can grow with is beautiful. Having somebody you can build with is beautiful. But I think before you get into it, a person will show you exactly who they are if you just let them. We gotta stop making excuses. We have to stop being like, "Oh, he didn't mean that." Yes, he did.
Yes, he did.
Yes, he did.
So literally, friends, like Shannon said, your intuition is really like a radar from God.
Yeah.
Whenever you feeling that like something ain't right, literally, y'all.
Listen.
I had moved out, like literally from, because I was checking, and then I had moved out because it was so raggedy, right? When I moved out, I started getting clarity. Like people was telling me I was better away, right? This was before I got married. I lied to you not. That's when the opportunity came, like, you want to get married? And instead of following what I knew was right, like, the signs were there.
Can we just back up? Before y'all got married, y'all would live together.
Yes.
And then you moved away, and that's when you felt like you got clarity.
I was getting clarity on how the person wasn't really solid.
Okay, the person, it wasn't what you thought it was.
Yeah, I was seeing it for what it was, okay? But
okay, because it's different when you're in it. When you're in it, baby, it looks real good. Or you can make it look really good.
I was mad, angry, and I'm not an angry person. Like, I was becoming something that I didn't like because my mind was being played with, but I didn't know that.
Okay.
So I was being played and having my mind played with, and it was causing confusion within me to the point where I had to separate myself, and that's when I had moved back in with my parents. And that around that same time, that's when the proposal came. And I don't know why, I don't know who this is for, but if you had to separate yourself, that's a sign in itself.
Right.
And I think, everybody ain't from God. I'm going to be real with you. So it's almost just like the enemy could use a counterfeit to now that you done separated yourself because you started seeing this is not what I thought. Now all of a sudden they being everything you've been talking about because you done told them, but they knew that when you were still there. But now you like it's a string now that you finna cut, and to keep it from being cut, they gonna be everything you expressed before you left, and it happens a lot. Yeah, and I still made a decision and had to pay for it.
I think okay, so when you're talking about counterfeit and how a person could not change because they haven't changed, but how a person can show you everything you've asked for, that made me think about even before you got with that person, when you're praying to God about what it is that you want, and somebody shows up that's checking off boxes, that's like, okay, not knowing that it's a counterfeit. That's why I think taking your time is so important. Yes. You guys have separated. He has shown you, mind you, I feel like this is a red flag anyway, because if I'm with you and you understand that I'm about to leave you, or I've left, or this relationship is about to come to an end, and you start giving me all the things that I've asked for, so that just shows me you were capable of doing that all along. You just
my point. You didn't want. It wasn't genuine.
You didn't want to. It wasn't genuine. Right. If it was genuine, when you expressed a concern in that relationship, he would have been like, all right. Like if this was destined by God, if this was that, it would have been completely different. Exactly. But because he showed you like, okay, I could do this for you, that enticed you even further. And I think a lot of times people, myself included, not necessarily in that situation, but just in the fear of it being counterfeit when I left that relationship. So while you have actually encountered somebody who was not genuine, but was answering prayers for you or showing you what you wanted, I think I was the opposite. I was like, if this is not it, I don't want it. Like, right. You sitting here, it's like I'm testing you because I'm like, okay, I need you to show me who you really are. Right. Like, so I know it kind of got off, but I was just thinking about the other day when me and you talked about when you pray for something and the enemy might hear might hear your prayers and send you somebody who is exactly what you pray for, but not. And how are you to know? I think that's where I want to get to. How are you to know that this person is either for you or not? That this person was sent by God or not?
Yeah. You know what, this topic right here, I would love to have, and even if you're watching, maybe you could be some sort of leader in this whole thing when it comes to like prayer and having understanding. I don't know if it would be a pastor or a life coach or a dating coach or somebody.
I would love that.
Yeah.
Can I just put that out there?
Yeah, we would love to have you on.
To talk about relationships, marriage, how to know if you're ready for marriage. I'm kind of leaning towards the pastor because I feel like it needs to be rooted in God.
Married.
So if anybody's open to that, I would love that.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah, I think it would be good. And on this podcast, we're gonna have special guests. We want to give different viewpoints. This initial one, this is between Shannon and I. We're getting this thing started. But I would be a liar if I came with some information like I was sure. That's why I'm like, I would love to hear somebody who does know, because if we knew, none of us would make mistakes. But a lot of us even have to reference our childhood, because what if you didn't have the right example? So then when the drama and the stuff comes, you're so used to that, you perceive it as love because that's what you've seen growing up.
I think that goes back to your healing journey.
Yeah.
Let's say you don't know what love looks like for real. And you've been jumping in and out of relationships based off of everything that you've known. But then you make the conscious decision, I don't want this anymore. So now I have to stop right where I'm at and reevaluate everything. I have to unlearn things. I have to seek knowledge. I have to seek guidance.
And be willing to be uncomfortable.
I know we're talking about our past right now but I want to be, again, clear that what you've been through doesn't have to be what you stay in.
Amen.
So we're talking about how we came to be in this type of relationship, or how we came to our relationship with God. I think we're just sharing this so that you understand, like, we didn't just start like, I love God and I want to be a vessel for Jesus. Like, it did not start like that.
Oh.
It didn't start like that.
No.
And honestly, I didn't start really prioritizing God in my relationship until this one. And that's me being vulnerable, and that's just me being for real.
One thing I know you are, and I can only speak for myself. I mean, I'm confident that you are, but I can only speak for myself. On this podcast, I'm going to give you nothing but realness. And I can relate, Shannon, like, more than ever, I'm seeking him because I've done it my way. And honestly, like, we have points in our lives that are pivotal. And I reference that space of being in that toxic relationship and going through the divorce because it was pivotal to my world that broke me down to realize I can't make decisions on my own and expect, like, he will let you, because that's free will. Like, it's free will. But it's like you said, I don't want to keep going around in a circle. Like, it's like a hamster wheel, but you ain't going nowhere.
And that's the thing. When I left that relationship, before I had even gotten to another relationship, I made that decision. Like, one, I was not going to let it define my next relationship. I wasn't going to be bitter about relationships or marriage or love or anything. I loved love in that relationship, and I still love love. I love how you feel when you're in love, or how you feel when you feel like you have a partner that you could depend on in all things. How you feel when you could be yourself. Or so before I had even opened up my mind to being in another relationship, I had already made that decision that I'm not taking this baggage with me. Even though I took trauma with me, but when I say I'm not taking this with me, I'm not taking the bitterness with me. I'm not taking like all are the same, like all y'all are the same and everybody. No, that's not the case. And I think when women say all guys are the same, that's just because you haven't found anybody that's different. Everybody that you've encountered might be the same, but all men are not the same. And that's why I think it's important for you to get right with God, prioritize your peace, prioritize your healing, and then the things that you are seeking will find you. So many times we go out and I'm like, not even just for me, but like, I'm sure plenty of people can relate. I want a man. I don't want to be single too long. I want this. I want that. I want him to be 6'5" and this.
Right.
So it's like I'm rushing to find something, but I'm not taking the time that I need for myself to even be prepared for a relationship. And that even goes back to marriage. Like I told you, I had never prioritized God in my relationship until now. That's not something I'm proud of, but that's just real. That's just what it is. I always knew God, but I have not had a relationship with him like I do now. You grow up in the church, you grow up around family members who talk about God and prayer and all the things. So it's like I knew who God was. In theory, I knew who he was. I did not really start to get to know God until recently, like in the last few years. And even that journey has been gradual, and I'm not perfect. And that's one thing I want everybody to understand. All of our journeys with God are different.
Yeah.
So for me, I haven't been the best with praying. I haven't been as consistent as I would have liked to been in the past. Even up until the divorce, I was like, okay, God, I'm about to get right with you. And I was strong for some months. And then it's like you start to fall off, but you have to be intentional about what it is that you want from God in a relationship, from yourself, it's just like as an individual.
Yeah.
So I think prioritizing yourself, prioritizing God and your healing journey and whatever that looks like to you is more important than seeking out the relationship. If that is what you want, if that's what you desire, it's going to come. God is going to give you exactly what it is. As long as you're putting in the work, it's coming.
In his
God
time.
in his time. Don't rush it. I knew that leaving that relationship, I wanted to be married again. And although I think that I'm on the right path, I'm still like, okay, God, show me what I need to do so that I'm ready to be a wife. Things that I haven't even prayed for before, and that's how you know it's that it wasn't rooted in God.
Right.
It's because I had never asked God, like, is this my husband?
Right.
Am I ready to be a wife? Is my foundation strong enough? Like, what do I need to do for me? And what does my husband need to do for me? I remember praying to God and being like, God, I think this is my husband, so I'm gonna just do this. Literally, I remember talking to God like, God, I think this is my husband,
That's exactly what I did.
And we're getting married in December. See you there. Like, what? Girl, that's not how you operate with God. Come on. Do that. Instead of me being like, God, if this is of you, if this is your desire for me, if this is the person that I am designed to be with, show me that. Make my, renew my thinking, renew my heart.
Right.
Show me what I need to do as a wife. I had never prayed for that. Never. I was just like, God, I've been with him this amount of years, and and this is what it's gonna be.
Yep.
And it's just like, girl, you telling God what you gonna do? Please stop it.
And it showed in the end
It showed, but I think that's why this platform is important. These conversations are important because the same conversations that you and I are having right now, someone may not have a friend to talk to. Someone may not have that relationship with God just yet.
But I like to think if I heard this before, it would have helped me. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I was locked in though.
But see, we can be stubborn. We can lock in. But when something is for you. And when I say that, I'm talking about like a message. So even though, like you said, like let's take ourselves out of it. Let's say we were both sitting listening to this podcast, mm-hmm. and we were doing what we were doing, moving how we move and doing all the things that we want to do. Had I heard something like this, I feel like I would have felt better about making a different decision. Instead of constantly hearing like, this is what you need to do, and this, or telling myself this is what you need to do. If I had a friend, and even though I'm pretty sure our relationship didn't flourish until after I was already married, mm-hmm. But I know that if you and I were tight like we are now back then,
Yeah.
we would have these conversations. So that's why I think that's why this platform is for the girls.
Yeah.
It's for the people who don't have that don't have a friend that's going to pray for them, that don't have a relationship where they feel like they could pray or even know where to start, that don't have that friend like, girl, I don't think you should do this, or have you thought about it, have you prayed about it. We operate out of a place of love, and I think that whoever this message is for is receiving it. Whoever this is for, and maybe they haven't received it today or the day that they're watching, but I think eventually it's going to stick in their mind, and they're going to reference like, Erica and Shannon said that. Like, you know, like my friend said that. So even when you're locked in on something, you know whether it's right or wrong.
Yeah.
Deep down, I do believe you know whether it's right or wrong. In that moment, you may be blinded by love or what it looks like or whatever. But I do think that clarity will come. But there may be somebody that this message is for who's ready to hear it. And if you're not, that's fine. We're still on our journey of healing, self-discovery.
Yes.
With God. So I think whoever this message is for will definitely receive it. And I think whoever's listening and they're like, that ain't me, that's cool. Yeah. But I want somebody to take away something from this podcast. Before you start to seek another relationship, you need to seek yourself first.
Yeah. And you seek yourself through God.
In God. Yes. That's right. Seek yourself, but you can't truly find yourself until you find Him. And in that is how you'll know if you're even ready for another relationship.
Yeah.
Through your journey of, girl, this is so off topic. When I just said through your journey, I thought about 101, like the theme song.
Through the journey I discovered you.
Through the journey I discovered finding you and finding me. I was like, oh, how did I just because I was about to say through your journey of, then I was like, let me not say discovery because then it's gonna be stuck in my head. Anyway,
that's so funny. My brain did the same thing.
But for real, through your journey of discovery, your relationship will find you. You're not gonna have to search for it. You're not gonna have to search for it. You're not gonna have to search for it. And then when you're in it, take your time. I'm not gonna say be defensive because you have to be open in all things. You have to be open to a new possibility. But I think be aware.
So we thank you all for watching. My family just got home. We really hope this resonates with somebody.
Hey, girl.
So, yeah.
Right. We hope this resonates with you guys. Be on the lookout for the next episode. For our social medias, the website, everything will be linked below. We hope that you've taken something away from this and you've just gotten whatever it is that you've needed from this. And keep the conversation going in the comments. If you have any questions or comments or anything, that you'd like to add, we'd love to hear from you guys. And until next time, this has been the Peace Over Everything podcast. Bye, girl.